Everything is preliminary, as COA itself hasn't flagged anything yet. And with this, and there being no member of the minority who wish to interpolate, I move that we terminate the budget of the Office of the Vice President.
On the part of the majority, we join the minority in the motion to terminate the interpolations in the proposed budget of the Office of the Vice President.
Budget of the Office of the Vice President is hereby terminated.
Mr. Speaker, last time, sinabi ng COA na may inissue na sila, no, sa OVP na Audit Observation Memorandum, AOM. Patungkol po ito sa gastusin ng OVP ng Confidential Fund para sa huling quarter ng 2022 na nagkakahalagang 125 million. Natanggap po ba yun ng Office of the Vice President?
The records, Mr. Speaker, the records of the Office of the Vice President, per record of the Office of Vice President, no AOM communication was received, Mr. Speaker.
Wala ho bang taga-COA na naghatid sa AOM sa office niyo mismo?
No, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Sa email, Mr. Speaker?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Even regular mail, Mr. Speaker?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Kung papadalhan po kayo ng COA, ng AOM, at i-deliver ito, tatanggapin po ba to ng Office of the Vice President?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Sa pagtanggap po ba ng AOM, kailangan ng bigyan ng otoridad ang tatanggap ng mga taong kinauukulan para dyan sa AOM, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
So, kailangan ng otorisasyon, Mr. Speaker. Sino pa ang tatanggap, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the authorized representative of the Office of the Vice President to receive any communication from the COA is ASEC Lemuel Ortonio, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under the Office of the President, ang budget for this year, can this good sponsor identify itong 2023 budget natin? Which part of it specifies the program of the OVP? Tama ba, isa lang ang program ng OVP?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, that is under Good Governance Program.
Good Governance, Socio-Economic Program Delivery.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker.
Magkano po ang nakalaan ngayong taon na ito?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, is it, are you asking for the proposal for 20?
Yes, for 2023. 2023 po.
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, for the proposal for 2024, the total proposal is to $2,252,092,000 pesos, Your Honor, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sa ilalim po nito, yung socio-economic project stakeholder engagement, tama po ba? Ano-ano po yung mga activities na nakapaloob dito? Mr. Speaker.
As earlier enumerated, Mr. Speaker, the activities include medical assistance, burial assistance, magnegosyo taday, pagbabago campaign, disaster operation, rice food bags, kalusugan food truck pansarap, kalusugan food truck disaster operations, libreng sakay, and You Can Be VP programs, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Speaker, dito rin sa socio-economic program delivery, nakapaloob ang confidential funds. Kung susundin po yung paliwanag last time ng DBM at ng OVP, tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
For this year, Mr. Speaker, 500 million ang confidential funds ng OVP. Is this correct?
That is correct, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Ibig sabihin ba nito ay mahigit 22% ng 2.5 billion na 2.5 2 million na sinasabi ninyo billion no 2.5 2 billion na sinasabi ninyo ay budget para sa socio-economic program delivery ng OVP confidential. Halos 1/4 po kasi ito ng total budget ng OVP program, Mr. Speaker.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Para sa susunod na taon ng 2024, 500 million din ulit ang ilalaan para sa confidential funds ng OVP sa ilalim ng socio-economic program delivery. Tama po ba?
That is a proposal, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Yes. Now, Mr. Speaker, yung pinakamatunog na pinag-uusapan, yung confidential funds ng Vice President noong 2022, 125 million ito, Mr. Speaker. Tama bang nakapaloob ito sa good governance program ng OVP?
That is correct, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Noong isang araw po kinumpirma ng COA na ginastos itong 125 million confidential funds sa loob lamang ng 11 araw. Tapos narinig ko po kanina, sabi ninyo, 19 days sang-ayon sa saob that we have seen. Sino po yung nagsasabi sa inyo ng totoo?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, based on the records, the Sara was released on December 13. From the time that the Sara was released, the implementation started immediately. And I think, hindi ito tanong kung sino ang nagsasabi ng totoo. Because COA, on their part, would do the post-audit only after the utilization of funds has been given. So the date of reference of COA was December 20. But the date of reference in terms of implementation started immediately after the release of Sara, which was December 13, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, kasi yung 11 days na sinasabi ng COA, nagtutotal siya ng 11.36 million kada araw sa mga huling araw ng December. Narinig ko din naman po yung mga sinabi nyo kanina. In cash ba ang disbursement ng 125 million na ito? Kasi di ba, hindi pwedeng cheque, hindi pwedeng wire transfer, hindi pwedeng ganun yung confidential funds In cash siya Mr. Speaker.
That is
Tama
correct,
ba?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Speaker, yung 125 million na ito ay nagastos ng ganong panahon. Wala po. Mr. Speaker, kanina tinanong kung ano-ano yung pwede, di ba? Under the confidential funds. Ano-ano ang mga pwedeng paggamitan nito, Mr. Speaker? Kasi ang naiisip ko lang dito, may clear and present danger sa OVP, no? Pag secure ka ng ganitong mga activities, kapag nagsasagawa ka pagka ganito kalaki yung pera, no, Mr. Speaker. Halimbawa, Mr. Speaker, yung Vice President ba, kung 11 days yan, ilang informers, ilang intel, nag-hire ba ng sasakyan, Mr. Speaker? Nagrenta ba ng safe houses, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the Office of the Vice President is compliant in the use of confidential fund, which was a directive and which is under the Joint Circular 2015-01, which, if I may be allowed to enumerate, this includes the following use of the confidential expense: purchase of information necessary for the formulation and implementation of program, activities and projects relevant to the national security and peace and order, rental of transport vehicle related to confidential activities, rentals and the incidental expenses related to the maintenance of safe houses, purchase of or rental of supplies, materials, and equipment for confidential operations that cannot be done through regular procedures without compromising the information gathering activity concerned. Payment of rewards to informers, and uncover, prevent illegal activities that pose a clear and present danger to agency, personnel, or property, or other facilities and resources under the agency protection, done in coordination with the appropriate law enforcement agencies and others that may be authorized by the GAA or other special laws. And
Yes,
again,
Mr.
for emphasis, the Office of the Vice President was compliant of Joint Circular 2015-01, Mr. Speaker.
Granting, Mr. Speaker, that the OVP complied with JC 2015-01, sinasabi nyo, alin-alin po dyan ang binayaran ng OVP? Informer, safe houses, rental ng vehicles, 11 days, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, all of the accomplishment and the performance of the Office of the Vice President that covers the confidential fund were properly reported to the agencies as mandated by the joint circular. And in fact, in January 17, 2023, a report has already been submitted. April 13 of 2023, another report has been submitted. And July 13, 2023, another report for the second quarter has been submitted.
Again, Mr. Speaker, kung talaga pong nakakomply ang Office of the Vice President dito, hindi po ba dapat ang in-issue ng COA ay credit note? May credit note po ba kayo?
None yet, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Speaker, kaya ako po tinatanong kanina, halimbawa, kung sa OVP, informer ang binayaran, 1,000 mahigit in cash na mga informers ang binayaran. Ganon, Mr. Speaker.
I cannot comment on that, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Dahil
the report has
Mr.
already
Speaker.
been submitted.
So, that is why, Mr. Speaker, kailangan po natin talagang malaman kung ano ang pinagdalhan sa 125 million confidential funds. In the first place, we are questioning yung entitlement ng Office of the Vice President dito. Diba? We are questioning din kung saan ang source nito, Mr. Speaker. Kaya, Mr. Speaker, para po sa ating lahat, kung ang lagi isasagot sa atin confidential, Mr. Speaker, marami po tayong mga programa na kailangan nating paglagyan ng pera sa ngayon. So kami po bilang mga fiscalizers dito, Mr. Speaker, napakahalaga po sa amin ang bawat sentimo na ibinibigay ng mga taxpayers natin. At gusto po natin, napaka-transparent at accountable ang lahat ng ahensya na pinagbibigyan ng pera ng bayan. Hindi po ito pansariling pera. Ito po ay pera ng bayan. At dapat po maging transparent tayo dito, Mr. Speaker. Kaya, Mr. Speaker, we are asking to abolish this confidential funds. Actually, hindi lang po sa ahensya ng OVP. Gusto natin maging accountable din ang lahat ng ahensya na meron nito. At yung mga gustong kumuha pa nito, Mr. Speaker, dapat po talaga magkaroon ng pamamaraan na makita natin kung paano ito ginagastos, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Senior Deputy Minority Leader Paul Daza to interpolate the sponsor in the proposed budget.
The Honorable Daza is recognized to interpolate the sponsor. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to my colleagues and to our guest, the Vice President. I initially had questions to ask, but I've been listening this morning, and my queries have been answered. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I will yield back to the Majority Leader, and I request that they recognize the Honorable Herrera, who will make the appropriate motion.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Bernadette Herrera of BH Party List to interpolate the sponsor.
The Honorable Herrera is recognized to interpolate.
Thank you
Please
very
proceed.
much, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor. kami po ay nagpapasalamat. I'd like to thank the Honorable Sponsor, the Office of the Vice President, and Vice President Sara for clarifying their position and allowing their good office to be scrutinized. Based on what we have learned so far in all the hearings, nothing concrete has yet been presented that will lead us to believe that any funds were mishandled or misappropriated. Everything is preliminary, as COA itself hasn't flagged anything yet. And with this, and there being no member of the minority who wish to interpolate, I move that we terminate the budget of the Office of the Vice President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, if the sponsor would be allowed to make my final statement, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, the Vice President of the Philippines is the second highest executive official of the government. Her mandate includes assisting the President and assuming the presidency in case of succession. Beyond her official mandate, the Vice President serves as Secretary of the Department of Education, advocating for various issues, proposing policies, and engaging with the public to raise awareness about important matters. She has led initiatives to address social and economic concerns, aided in calamity response, and has worked to bridge gaps in society through various projects and programs. We emphasize that the OVP's actions are in alignment with the law and has always been in conformity and synergy with the Constitution and co-equal branches in government. The OVP holds immense respect for Congress as we hold the power of the purse. This critical responsibility enables careful allocation of resources to serve the nation's needs and aspirations. The OVP honors this constitutional prerogative as she is committed to ensuring prudence and inclusivity in financial decisions. The OVP takes notice of and also welcomes the audit observation memo as brought up during the discussions. The OVP welcomes also the compliance mechanism that are part of the AOM, as it has always been adhered to collaboration and communication between branches of government in the OVP's aspiration for a prosperous and accountable society for all Filipinos. Now, it is time for us, colleagues, to move forward, united in our purpose and dedicated to fulfilling our obligations to the nation. Let us focus on the task ahead, working harmoniously to achieve our collective goals while upholding the principles of fiscal responsibility and effective governance. To our dear colleagues, to the members of minority, thank you, and thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, after the moving closing statement of the Honorable Sponsor and the motion of the minority, on the part of the majority, we join the minority in the motion to terminate the interpolations on the proposed budget of the Office of the Vice President.
Is there any objection? There being none, motions approved. The budget of the Office of the Vice President is hereby terminated.